we have Rassi van der Dussen from the Vancouver Knights. So Rassi, can you just give the audience here a synopsis of your team's performance, your performance, and what's the team's outlook looking ahead to the next few games?
Yeah, I think it was a difficult pitch. We sort of saw that from the game this morning. We decided to bowl first on the basis that the pitch was rolled for a fair bit before our game. Sorry, did I say bowl first or bat first? Bat first. And yeah, I think it didn't really change the wicket. Luckily, we got a competitive total on the board, and so that worked out for us well. And I think we're always wary of their top order to get off to a flying start like they did. But in saying that, we knew our spinners and our seamers in the middle could bring it back, and which we did. It's a difficult wicket to hit through the line on, so we knew it would be tough for them at the back end.
Okay. So before we get to questions, just please state your name, your media outlet, and the country you're coming from.
This is Umang Pawai from First Coast from India. So you have scored 90% of your runs, 20 runs as an opener, and in this team you are batting in the middle order. So how is the experience of batting in the middle order? Is it difficult or like you have scored runs in all the 3 games? So what's the experience?
Yeah, batting in the middle order is definitely a skill on its own. But as a cricketer, you've got to look to be adaptable and play the conditions as they are. There was also a lot of talk about the pitch being slow and turning and whatever, but at the end of the day, you got to play what's in front of you. And I think my game plan was to react to the ball rather than to look to line the bowlers up. And it worked out for me today. I think batting in the middle order, you come up against spin and so forth a lot more. So you got to be quick on your feet and rotating the strike, which, like I said, is a skill on its own.
Vendor from the local newspaper here. There are some complaints about the pitch, uneven bounces, uncertainties, and so on. You have played a wonderful innings here, top score 1-1. How do you rate the pitch in your innings?
I think the pitch can be better. It's a bit spongy. It's difficult to explain. It's not as firm as we normally used to, which the ball then digs in and comes off slow off the surface. But in saying that, it's the same for both teams. So you got to play the conditions as a cricketer, and the pitch is slow, yes, but at the end of the day, you got to get on with the game and try and adapt your game accordingly.
Hello, Dr. Adnan, Match Point. First of all, congratulations on the review now. And when you play in the first innings, as we know about the value pattern, that most of the second innings score is the 116 average going on. But as the trend of the cricket T20 in the Canada right now, we are seeing there's a second chases, usually teams are chasing. But at this much total, was it in your mind and all the guys were thinking that you will be able to defend this target?
I definitely think after the first innings, I was quite confident. Like I said, like we all saw, the pitch didn't play as well as we would have wanted it to. We sort of knew that if we can keep taking wickets like we did, we'll be in with a very good chance. I think Enriquez and Worker played well for them. If they sort of could stay together for another 5 overs, we would have been in trouble. But the guys just bowled well, stuck to the plans, and eventually the pressure, I think, got to them, and they went out, and the rest is history.
And how about the local guy, Saad bin Zafar? A brilliant spell from him. Were you expecting Saad of playing like this?
Yeah, I didn't yet know much about Saad before I came here, to be honest. But what I've seen so far, it's really impressive. He bowls a good pace for these types of wickets. He has good skill and good control. And I think for us in the team, it's great to have a local guy performing also and putting performances in for the team.
In your team, at the top order, you have Chris Gayle and Evan Hughes, and at the deck you have Anderson. So have you been given the role of containing the whole team?
I haven't been given that specific role. I think, like I said, as a batter, you have to sort of assess the situation of the game and the situation, and with Gale and Lewis up top, it might be 100 for none after 8 overs. If there's a few wickets, it might be 20 for 2. So the role, I try to just be adaptable and sort of play what the game requires from me. I've played a fair bit of T20 cricket, so I sort of know what scores we're looking at in terms of that. So but having Andre Russell at the back end there is also a big bonus. A guy that takes the pressure off you as a batter when he's gets in his groove.
I'm Rajan Nair from India. Looking back at the opening games, all the matches had a score of 200 plus. As the wicket goes, and as per your views, it is now coming down to around 150 to 170. The game progressing and the playoffs and the finals slated around the middle of the month. How do you view the wicket in the near future for this latter part of the tournament?
I think the wicket.
How are you going to adapt to it?
Yeah, I think the wicket will be similar to today. I think what has happened, the bowlers have learned how to bowl on this field and on this pitch, whereas maybe the first game, with a short straight boundary, you've got to adapt your plans a bit in terms of where you're getting hit as a bowler. You want to be hit square rather than straight because of the long boundary. So I think the bowlers have adapted and that's why the scores have normalised, if I can say that. And I think that as the wicket plays, the batters will also adapt and adjust their game plans. And I think we'll see more scores around 160 going ahead in the tournament.
You have had a fabulous first class season for Lions, like you scored 900 odd runs. So what's next for Russell Martinez?
It was a good season back home. As a player, you can only try and put the performances on the board. The SA side going to India later this year, so another few good performances there. Hopefully, I can break into the national side. There's CPL coming up, so which I wasn't chosen for in the initial draft, but with talks of some guys maybe staying home and not going to that. I'd like to think my name is in the hat to maybe get to a CPL team, and then going back home and performing for the Lions like I want to. That's where my main contract is at the moment, and and that's high on my priority list.
Anyone else? Okay, we're done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello to everyone, another exciting episode of Match Point by Dr. Adnan, and we are in the day number 5 Global T20 Canada. Cricket comes home, and today also there was a double header. Happy Canada Day to all of you. So for the Happy Canada Day there was a double header, and for the double header there were the 2 games. So now onwards there will be a rest day and the 1 game each until we reach to the next weekend. So in the game number 1, it was between the Winnipeg Hawks and the Toronto Nationals, the 2 victorious teams before, both losing 1 game each. So in this game it was total one-sided affair which we were not expecting at all. So Winnipeg Hawks beat Toronto Nationals and the Darren Sammy team by the 56 runs margin. So what happened? I will just give you the details for this match, and that Winnipeg Hawks, when came to the bat, when put into the bat, David Warner, once again we couldn't see the fireworks from the David Warner. We have seen already from the dejected Aussies captain Steve Smith, but still his bat, David Warner's bat, is yet been opening the fireworks in the Canada. So David Warner was had to exit early when he was run out by the Dravic on the 1, and Lendl Simmons later on came and he was bowled by Pollard and caught by Nikhil Datta for the 44. Very useful contribution up the order we have seen, because it was also a low scoring game and we were not expecting, but these were the very valuable runs for the Lendl Simmons, just as he did in the Global T20 World Cup before 2 years ago. So Ben McDermott, the hero on the day number 1 for the Winnipeg Hawks, he couldn't fire that much, but he made the crisp 25 runs and he was caught by the Kasprick Williams caught and bowled, and then Darren Bravo, big expectations we were having that Darren Bravo will do some magic and we will be listening some of the sounds and the music, but nothing happened, and Darren Bravo was out on 0. And then the Killer Miller also unable to show his killing instincts in North America, and David Miller was caught out cheaply for the Nazakat Khan bowled Naveed for the 18 runs, and Dan Bravo was bowled by Naveed but the very valuable 41 runs. So this 41 of Dan Bravo and the Lendl Simmons 44 pushed the score on the 164. So easy target they have given to the Toronto Nationals, the Darren Sammy's team, who were setting the trends in this tournament for making the highest totals and chasing the highest ever total in the T20 over here. That was 228 on the day number 1 in the opening game against the Vancouver Knights. But every day is not your day, mate. This is what cricket tells you. And what happened, Toronto Nationals started the innings, and Johnson Charles, the wicketkeeper, was early caught on by the Ben McDermott of DJ Bravo of the 22 runs, and later on Nazakat Khan, Steve Smith got out very cheaply on 2 and 3, and the innings couldn't be stable. And later on, the only resistance which came down the order was from the Davidge, who was the man of the match in the earlier game, who demolished Vancouver Knights earlier. But the Davidge made 34, but that 34 was not enough to save Toronto Nationals. And then Nitish Kumar, the captain of the Canadian team, he came down the track, but he got trapped on the 0, and he was caught by Miller and bowled by DJ Bravo, and then Karen Pollard, Karachi Kings, and then Multan Sultans, important member of the PSL, he made 25 on the 34 runs, which were not enough. But then became the upset when Mohammad Naveed and the captain Darren Sammy on the down the order, both were knocked out of the ground without troubling the scorer, and both were out on the 0. And Mohammad Naveed facing the first ball and got out, and pushing his team Toronto National into the deep trouble. And then came the Nakhil Datta, Mohammad Sami and the Kasprick Williams, but it was too late for them to handle the story for the Toronto Nationals. Just I want to tell you that now Toronto Nationals, I will tell you at the end that the how table is progressing, but Toronto Nationals, in spite of Montreal Tigers now, who are at the bottom of the table, Toronto Nationals have also been pushed at the bottom, even in spite of winning the dramatic game while chasing 228 runs. So this is cricket, anybody's game, and anything can happen in the cricket, and usually the teams who are chasing are winning the game. But now this day again, and the same gamble which was Darren Sammy team winning the game, that gamble couldn't work today for the Toronto Nationals. Even the target was not that much, but I think now the bowlers have been adjusted to the pitch. This was the problem which was coming in the beginning. Very high totals we were seeing, and now we are not seeing the very heavy totals. And if as we are seeing the pitch today, also we saw the dusty pitch. Later on, every time the groundsmen are coming and they are taking away the dust is giving the problem to the batsmen. But we have seen now earlier on heavy targets, but now pitch is now back to the normal state and is functioning pretty much normal. Why I'm saying this? Because the average first innings score on this pitch is 156 according to the stats, and average second game score is about nearly 112 runs. So now the matches are coming according to the stats, but before the stats were tumbling, and we saw some amazing results which were not according to the pitch, and groundsmen were also surprised by that, because I think bowlers were not able to adjust that, and it was becoming the batting paradise, and batsmen prove that why if the pitch is
behaving like this. They took the full advantage of that pitch. So now it's time to move on the game number 2, which was between Montreal Tigers and the Vancouver Knights. Montreal Tigers, the team of the Letish Malanga, Trent Bravo, and the team of Vancouver Knights, which is the team of Saad bin Zafar, Chris Gale, and Dusen. So lot of big names also in this team. But the Vancouver Knights and the Montreal Tigers, we were thinking that Vancouver Knights would be dominating. But earlier in the innings, when Montreal Tigers winning the toss and put Vancouver Knights into the bat. Actually, Letish Malanga didn't want to do the same mistake which he did against the Cricket West Indies. In the Cricket West Indies, when he after winning the toss, he decided to bat without knowing that usually the chasers, they are winning the game, but every time, dude, it's not the story and the same story in this very ground. So you have to play the game. But this time he didn't do the mistake, but the mistakes later on which he did, given the penalty, heavy penalty to him later on. But at the start of the game, in the beginning of the Montreal Tigers, they put Vancouver Knights, Chris Gale's team into the bat, and the early damage when Chris Gale once again became the Chris Fail, and he was caught Dylan and bowled Siddle. Peter Siddle bowled it beautifully on 4. And the last game which we have seen, Gale got out without troubling the scorer. And the first game he was got cheaply out against the Darren Sammy Toronto Nationals on 4. So then the Evan Lewis came, who made the big innings in the early on in the tournament. He got out cheaply on the 16, and Chadwick Walden, the wicketkeeper, also couldn't contribute much with the 5 runs only. But then came Van Dusen. Van Dusen was the man to watch during this game. He made a brisk 83 runs and he was never out. He came out not out and putting Vancouver Knights in the strong control in the game. So this man, Dusen, if you are not knowing about the Dusen, I may tell you about this South African. He's a proud Springbok and he plays for the local teams in the South Africa, but he's very unlucky that in spite of playing from the Johannesburg Lions, he has shined himself. His career has been shining with the Johannesburg Lions over the years, but unfortunately this proud Springbok couldn't open his cap and the debut from the South Africa, and still he is hoping to carry on the South African flag on his shoulder, but he has never been able to play for the South Africa. And one more thing I want to tell you about the Dusen, that the Dusen in the longer formats of the game, when he's playing for the Johannesburg Lions, his average is usually above 41, would you believe? And the T20 internationals, his strike rate is above 124. And he proved once again that why in the shorter format he is very lethal up the order, and he proved once again, and he was a very happy man when he came to us in the press conference. And then Babar Hayat came, who also saved them some days ago, and we were again expecting the big total from him, as Babar made 63 on the previous day. Babar got out by the Malinga on 20, and the score couldn't move. Otherwise, if Babar would have been performing and Andre Russell down the track, who knows, Vancouver Knights would have been scoring beyond 200. But both got out cheaply on 20 and Andre Russell on 13, and later on Kamau Leverock got out on 5 and Tim Saudi came out not out on the 2. And about this man Leverock, I just want to tell you that he is representing now Vancouver Knights, and he has come from Bermuda. He is playing from Bermuda and he is a very famous man. If you remember, one of his uncles playing in the World Cup for Bermuda and in the ICC tournaments, you have seen one fat man jumping on his right and a magnificent catch with a huge belly, and with a single-handed catch, that magnificent catch, that is his real uncle, and he's already representing Bermuda, and is in spite of his overweight, he is a wonderful athlete, and this fellow is also trying to come into his boots. So 18 extras were given in this innings, and Letish Malinga was a little bit expensive. 4 overs he has done, 3 wickets for 41 runs. Peter Siddle 4 overs, 28 runs and 2 wickets he took, and these two were the most successful in this. While Moises Hendricks remained very expensive, only 1 over he has thrown and 16 runs he gave in the 1 over, while the Dylan Hilfiger is 32 runs he gave in the 3 overs. So last over he was chosen by the captain because he didn't want to expose Moises Hendricks. So that's why the score going to the 166 for the loss of 6 wickets in the limited quota of the 20 overs. And Montreal Tigers, to stay in the tournament, they were given the target of 166, which was not that much big if you see the day number 1 of the Global T20 Canada, but it is cricket, and as I told you and explained you earlier that the wicket is behaving a little bit strange and bowlers have been adjusted and they are knowing how to pitch, where to bowl, what to do, and batsmen coming in the track, and no, we are not seeing the unusual big totals of 200 plus making the mockery of T20 cricket. But anyhow, the start of the Montreal Tigers was not good when Tim Southee, one of the pacers of the New Zealand, one of the pacers who have done the World Cup 2015 opening over, he bowled Dwayne Smith for the 0 on the very first delivery of the match. So Sunil Narine, a big name of the T20s, a huge experience of the Caribbean Premier League. We were expecting some strong hitting down the track from the Sunil Narine, but unfortunately Sunil Narine got out also cheaply on 14 by the Saudi. And then Moises Hendricks, who was caught by Lewis and bowled by Fawad Ahmed on the 40, except Moises Hendricks and the George Worker, no one in the Montreal Tigers straight up to the mark to save the match for the Montreal Tigers. Only 2 men scored. One was Hendricks and one is George Worker. Little bit I want to tell you about the Moises Hendricks. Moises Hendricks is having a, as nowadays you are knowing that the Football World Cup is going on. Portugal fans would be very angry as Portugal is out of the scene, Cristiano Ronaldo is out of the scene. So just to ignite your memory, I want to tell you that the Moises Hendricks is an Australian, but he is born, this is a trivia, he is born in the same town where Cristiano Ronaldo was born in Portugal. But at the tender age of 1, this fellow moved to the Australia and then polished by Australia, and later on magnificently he was bowling for Australia in the under 19 cricket World Cup in the 2004 and later on the 2008, and ultimately clicking for Australia, and he did his debut for the Southern Australia and played lot of tremendous cricket. And these Australians, you know, are very sharp. And Moises Hendricks, this time he was not working with a ball, but this time he worked with a bat. But he made the brisk 40 on the 34 runs, but that was not enough to save Latish Malinga's Montreal Tigers to keep themselves at the bottom of the points table. So George Worker was the next one who was bowled by Saad Zafar beautifully, 43 runs, and Saad Zafar, the find of the Canadian cricket team and the proud Canadian, he took the 3 wickets and a very magnificent spell. I will tell you later on down when I will reach towards the bowling. So he was trapped by Saad, and then the Sikandar Raza, he was also trapped by the catch of the Saudi. Tim Southee took the catch, and New Zealanders again told that why they are best in the business of fielding, and Saad taking his 2nd wicket. And then the Najibullah Zardan, the Afghani giant, he was adjudged LBW by the Saad, and Saad taking the 3 brisk wickets and putting Vancouver Knights and Chris Gales in the driving seat. About the Sikandar Raza and the Saad bin Zafar, I just want to tell you that it was all between the Zimbabwe and Canada, or rather I can say that it was between Gujranwala and Sialkot. But Saad proved that Gujranwala's Cheda and Tikkas, they are stronger than the Sialkot Kadahi. And the Sialkot guy, Sikandar Raza, got flopped in front of the Saad bin Zafar. And later on, just to summarize you, Dinesh Ramdeen, we were seeing that if Dinesh Ramdeen would have been on the pitch, might be Montreal Tigers could have been finished the game and this close game. But unfortunately, Dinesh Ramdeen on the 14, he was caught by the Russell and bowled by the Cottrell, and he was got out. And then the Halliger caught Walton, bowled Cottrell 11, and Peter Siddle, Latish Malanga and Sandeep later on. It was too hard for them to chase this small target and ultimately losing the game. And then Vancouver Knights winning by 18 runs and Montreal Tigers lost the game. So quick look at the bowling. I may see. So Tim Southee, the pick of the bowlers for the 4 overs, 3 wickets for 20 runs. And he has done the magnificent spell along with the Sheldon Cottrell, 4 overs, 2 wickets and 37 runs. And later on, if you see the tremendous bowling, and I really enjoyed his bowling, Saad bin Zafar. I mean, Tim Southee is a big name of the international cricket. But looking upon the Saad bin Zafar, 4 overs and mere 21 runs miserly he has given for 3 wickets at the economy rate of 5.25. Second best after Tim Southee in this current match. Wow, take a bow. So what a amazing performance overall from Saad and from their batting side. So this was something amazing which we have seen. Vancouver Knights would have got lot of confidence after this, and we can hope they will give the tough time to the Cricket B West Indies and the other teams. But at the end of the show, I also just want to tell you about the points table so that you may know where are the standings. So right now on the top of the line, Winnipeg Hawks with the 3 matches, 2 won, 1 lost, 0 tied, 4 points and the net run rate of 1.312. So they are at the top of the table. So you will be thinking that why Cricket B West Indies is not on the top of the table, because they are already having 2 out of 2 in the record. But the problem is this: when the tables have been made, that is according to the net run rate. So obviously the strongest team right now is the Cricket B West Indies, but the Cricket B West Indies are the number 2 with the 2 matches, 2 wins, no loss, the most successful team of the tournament right now with a 4 points, but the net run rate is 0.859. On the third slot, there comes the Vancouver Knights. They have improved. Vancouver Knights, after 3 matches, 2 wins, 1 game they have lost with a 4 points and net run rate of 0.607. And at the bottom, the 3 teams which can have the strong fight later on when we see in the tournament next week. Edmonton Royals, 2 matches, 1 win, 1 lost and the 2 points. But please note down that they have played only 2 games. Also, like Cricket West Indies, they have to play the 3rd one. But the Toronto Nationals, the Darren Sammy team, 3 games they have played, 1 win and the 2 losses now, and suddenly they have pushed down the target above Montreal Tigers, and they have overall 2 points from the very first game, achieving the 228 on this pitch. And the net run rate is minus 1.693. And the Montreal Tigers at the bottom of the list, having the 3 matches and 3 losses, they have not able to win the single game with the 0 points on the table, and minus 1.264 is the net run rate. So the 2 teams, Toronto Nationals and the Montreal Tigers, they are at the bottom of the list, and only these 2 teams are having their net run rate in minus. Otherwise, all the teams are in the plus. Only the Toronto Nationals and the Montreal Tigers are making the minus. Both are working very hard, especially the Toronto Nationals, to come back at least in the plus as the tournament will progress later on in the stages to the final 4 stages and the final 2. So they have to work really hard. And you can see behind me the pitch. Pitch was quite dusty today also, and they were wiping it off again and again. Whenever there was a strategic timeout, they were wiping it out, and still they are working upon the pitch. But pitch is still in the favor of batsmen. You can see it's dry. There is no grass over there. Too much in the favor of batsmen, but bowlers are now have acclimatized and used to of this pitch, and they are playing very good on this pitch. I think they have adjusted themselves on this pitch. Anyhow, so last feeds here from the King City along with my team, that tomorrow there will be a no game. There's a rest day, and after the Canada Day, and day after tomorrow when we will come back to resume our transmission, there will be only played 1 match at 11 o'clock in the morning 11 a.m. and that will be a very crucial match between the Montreal Tigers and Edmonton Royals. Edmonton Royals having lot of Pakistani bowlers, pacers and the spinners, and Lala's team, Shahid Khan Afridi, and again huge public has been, we are expecting here on when the play will be resumed for this league after the game. So it will be all between Edmonton Royals and the Montreal Tigers. To stay in the tournament also it has become very difficult, but it will be a do-die, because if they lose this match, technically and paper-wise they will be out of the although they are also they are not in any ways Montreal Tigers, but they will be totally out of the business. So Edmonton Royals, very important for them, because if they win the game they can come along with the Hawks and along with the Knights. So to grab the top 3 slots they can come upwards if they win this game. So we will give you all the details about the upcoming matches, but right now time has come to say you goodbye, and I'm very thankful to all the production team which is working with us. Zishan Ahmed, Dr. Dilnishi Khan and Amir Ahmed is along with our team who is working with us. I am Dr. Adnan Khan and you are watching Match Point on eAwaaz, and we will be back as the play will be resumed after the rest day. Till then, take care and bye-bye.